on the edge of your seats. What have we got in store for you? Ydy'r cwestiwn mawr. Dach chi'n iawn? Waw, mae'n boeth. Mae'n boeth. Mae'n dwym. Mae'n... Grasboeth. Like, poeth. Iawn. Like, really poeth. Yeah. Grasboeth. Really, like, on fire.
Have you got an apple for teacher?
Oh, Gareth, you're looking at me like you're scared of me.
He is. Don't like being...
Be afraid. Right te, dwi eisiau dechrau heddiw, nice gentle start, just intro bach iawn. Dwi just yn mynd i ddeud dipyn bach, mae Ioan a Finna yn mynd i gyflwyno ein hynny. We're just going to introduce ourselves, dipyn bach, iawn? Tell you a bit about ourselves. So, ni a Parry, a dwi'n dod o Ynys Môn, Anglesey. Chi wedi bod i Ynys Môn efo byd? Nice. Dwi'n dod o Ynys Môn. Ond, nawr dwi'n byw yn Rhostryfan, ger Caernarfon, bai Cynarfon, wrth y castell. Yeah? Mae un plentyn gyda fi, ac un yn y bol. Yeah, unless you hadn't guessed. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my background teaching Welsh to people as a second language. Yeah? And actually, after doing a Welsh degree, everybody was going off to do teacher training, and I was like, I so don't want to be a teacher. And I went off travelling, and I ran out of money. And I was like, right, I need to find a job. So what I did was, did like a little skills swap. I was skint, basically. So I used to go and practice the, English with this old man who worked in a cafe. And as a swap, he used to give me bags of food because I didn't have any money. So every afternoon I'd go and teach him English, and then he said to me one day, come into my English school and meet the teachers and that. Anyway, within 2 hours, I'd got myself a job. So I was stood in front of this class thinking, oh my goodness, my English is terrible and I've got to teach these people English. So I was really thrown in the deep end, but it was the best experience of my life. So I was there for 9 months, and it was amazing and frightening, and I was terrible, and there were good times and bad times and times when I was like, oh no, what am I doing? And there was one teacher there who was bonkers, but he was amazing, and I always used to go and watch his lessons because he used to jump into the classroom, onto the table, perform some act from a play, and then he'd like cool down a bit, and then he'd do some activity like this. And it fascinated me because I thought these students just love being in his class. So that was kind of where the whole thing about, right, I'm really interested in how his students are learning so much more than anybody else's students, and why. So I came back to Cardiff I astudio, and I started a PhD. It's still on the shelf, waiting. I've done all the reading, collected all the data, just haven't finished writing it. But I've used it all in a practical sense, I like to think. So I started studying a PhD about teaching methods and the way we learn and the way we acquire language more specifically. So, the difference between learning something like a parrot, like if you need to learn lines, or acquiring it, like, oh, I know that, but I don't know how. Like if you turn the radio on and you start singing along to a song, and you're like, I've never sat down and learned those words, but I know it somehow. It's kind of gone in through osmosis. So it's like this whole process about how we acquire stuff. So from then, I started thinking about what to do next. I got a job teaching Welsh to adults using an Ulpan course. Have you heard of an Ulpan course? They use them quite traditionally in Wales, and it's very structured. So you start with present tense, talking about what we did today, and then maybe in 3 weeks' time you talk about what we did yesterday. So it's very sort of gradual, you build up, which is completely different to how maybe children learn, where they just kind of learn, like maybe a little bit about, I'm going here, or I went, or whatever, so all kind of thrown in together. So I kind of got a little bit frustrated, thinking, I'll just sing a little song, and then I'll just do this, and then reading more about how we pick things up. And then I was lucky enough to get this opportunity to work on programmes for Welsh learners. So I kind of while I was at that stage where I was looking into a teaching method called suggestopedia, which is the method we'll be using on this course now, Ioan. I'll write it up here for you. You all look petrified. What's she going to do to me? Suggestopedia. It sounds like I'm going to brainwash you.
I'm getting arrested.
Yeah. It was called suggestopedia, and then it's kind of developed, and it's now kind of got this new term, suggestopedia. So I started doing a little bit of research about suggestopedia before I went into television. So then I went to work on a series called Welsh in a Week for 6 years, where I would go and move in with somebody. I didn't actually live with them, but I was with them every day, teaching them Welsh. And then at the end of the week, they'd have a challenge, and then whatever they were interested in, then I'd have a go, from ice skating to jet skiing to whatever, playing hockey, ice hockey or whatever. So it was like a skill swap. Beth bynnag, then Cariad at Iaith came along years and years ago, and we actually did the first series for 8 weeks in Nant Gwrtheim. So for 8 weeks, people had Welsh lessons. So we did 2 series of those, didn't we? So we did the first one using a traditional Ulpan course. We did the second series. We're like, right, we have to use suggestopedia. So Ioan and I taught the second one. What year? When was it? Years ago. 2000 and...
That would have been 10 years ago.
10 years ago. So we did these 2 series, and it was phenomenal how much in 8 weeks. Well, one guy went on to get a job as a headmaster in a Welsh school. So that was a really cool feeling. So after 8 weeks, it was amazing. So, so we used suggestopedia. And then programmes for Welsh learners kind of disappeared off the radar a bit. And then when we got this phone call last year going, Cariad at Iaith again, we were like, yeah, let's do it. So dyma ni. So that's kind of my background and kind of how I've got one foot in the Dysgu Cymraeg camp and one foot in the teledu camp. Because for those 5-6 years where we did no programmes for learners, I worked on other programmes then and doing a little bit of producing and a little bit of cyflwyno and a bit of everything. Nothing properly. So dyna ni. So this is how I'm here today. And the only credential that you need, I think, as a tutor, is to truly, truly love what you're teaching. So I absolutely carry iaith Gymraeg. And if you can leave here with 20 more words than you got here with, then that's good news for me. But you won't, because you'll be leaving with at least 200, at least, maybe 2,000. Yeah? So, promise, hand on heart, we believe you'll do really, really well on this course, yeah? And we're well up for it. Good thing. Right, Ioan's going to tell you a little bit about his background before we go on to talk about what suggestopedia is and what to... No, don't clap! You can't clap, honestly. I haven't done anything yet.
Right, Shmai, Ioan dwi. Obviously, I'm here because of my good looks, but also as well, my day job. I teach Welsh to adults and have taught Welsh to adults since, full-time since 1985. I'm chief executive of a company called Popeth Cymraeg Welsh Unlimited, which is based in Denbigh. And all my adult life, I've been teaching Welsh to adults. I come from Swansea originally, Abertawe, Swansea Jack. And the reason I started or wanted to teach Welsh to adults was because I lived in that area where my parents spoke Welsh, but although I went to Welsh medium school, Swansea was an area then that there wasn't much Welsh around. And I was feeling that there were so many people around me who kept on saying, I wish I could speak Welsh, I wish I could speak Welsh. And I felt I was one of the lucky ones. I was one of the people who'd been born into a Welsh-speaking family. And I wanted to share that good luck with my compatriots, because I don't distinguish between Welsh speakers and non-Welsh speakers. We're all Welsh. Just some of us have been lucky to be born into Welsh-speaking homes. So anyway, I did a degree in Welsh when moved up to North Wales, started teaching Welsh to adults. And after a while, set up this company, and we opened language centres and so on. And then a couple of years ago, about 14, 15 years ago, I think, I put in a bid to get some money to do research into innovative language teaching methodology. I needed the money, really, for the company. And I knew nothing about it. Absolutely nothing. Anyway, luck would have it, I got the money. So I ended up going around different parts of Europe to meet people who were specialists in language teaching methodology. And I went to train with Dr. Lozanov, the founder of the Suggestopedia in Austria, and I've been back to him about 4 times. Unfortunately, he died a fortnight ago. Now, I'll be talking later on about the method and why it's different from other teaching methodologies, but basically, the situation now is that I don't use traditional teaching methods at all. We do. The organisation I work for does use traditional teaching methods for some classes, but personally, I only use the Suggestopedia for teaching. And it's a very different method from traditional methods, and the main thing about it is that everybody comes along at their own speed and everybody flips at different times. I'm going to be talking about flip later on. But the main thing is this, that we are biologically conditioned to pick up languages, and as well as being a Welsh teacher, I'm also a language learner. Not an excellent language learner, but I can sort of get by. I can read novels in 7 languages, but I can't speak them. And that's important to note, that you can actually read things which you can't actually speak. So anyway, I'll give you my experience, my first experience as a language learner, before Nia comes in and explains a bit about the methodology. I did French up to GCSE. Not very good at it, actually. And then I decided I wanted to learn Breton, which is the sister language of Welsh. So, like yourselves, you know, I went on this course, but my French was so bad I filled in the wrong form. And I ended up on a course which is for people fluent in Breton, and I was a beginner. And I was there for 10 days. And for 10 days, I was bombarded with Breton. And it was run by a very cantankerous Catholic priest who wanted to throw me off the course. I did actually save his life, so he had to be nicer to me after that. We were working on the roof, because we were working on this farmhouse. And in Brittany, people used to wear clogs and slippers inside of them, because that's what they used to do. We were working on the slate roof, and he was wearing clogs. And we were there working, and I turned around, he was sliding off the roof. So I dived over and caught him, so he had to be nice to me after that. Anyway, so I was there for 10 days, and actually, and all this Breton was going on around me. And I could hardly speak at all. I was, the odd utterance was coming out and so on. And then, at the end of the 10 days, I went back to Wales absolutely exhausted, having been on the wrong course. So, and I remember it was the time the Eisteddfod was in Cardiff, National Eisteddfod was in Cardiff. We went back home, had a week off, slept most of the week, didn't look at any of my Breton at all. And then I went to Cardiff, I went to the Eisteddfod, and then outside a club in Cardiff, who should I bump into on the street but some of the Bretons who were on the course with me. And suddenly I went, flip. And out all this Breton came. I didn't know where it came from. It just gushed out of me. Because what had happened was, I'd taken in all the Breton on that 10-week course. So there was saturation. Then I had an incubation period. Then all of a sudden, whoosh, out it all came afterwards. And I remember one of the teachers turning to the other teacher and saying, gosh, hasn't he learned quickly? Well, I hadn't actually, because I hadn't done anything. But the thing was, and we're coming back to this, I'd had huge input of language. And that's what we're going to be doing this week, is huge input of language. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I've got something which I will give out to you afterwards about the Suggestopedia, the methodology, and about one aspect which I want to talk about. But the main thing, see on the wall there? See it on the wall there? There's little Chinese characters there. That's a reminder to me, basically, but it can be a reminder to you as well. It's called Wu Wei. And Wu Wei, and you know what Wu Wei stands for? It stands for trying without trying. Effortless effort. It comes from the martial arts. It's this concept of the harder you try to do something, the less successful you're going to be. And the more you just let it happen, the more successful you will be. So this week, don't try and make it happen. Don't say, I'm going to learn this. Don't go back and learn lists of vocabulary or anything like that. Don't do any of that. Just allow it to happen. Let it happen, and you will be more successful. And it will creep up on you. Okay? Okay. So, Nia?
Does that mean that we'll have to come back in 2 weeks' time after the incubation period so that we can have our...
Flip them over.
You may find, to be honest with you, you will go off this course, bits of Welsh will be coming out, then all of a sudden, when the cameras are off, next week will be brilliant. You never know. So you've got to make sure they can film you
Like
next
I'm
week,
saving
possibly,
it.
right? So yeah.
Which is what was good when we did the 8-week course, because you
Yeah.
could see it happening at different
Yeah.
stages for different people. And it happens, at different degrees. You might have a little mini flip, and then it's 3 days later, oh, where did that come from?
And because all of you got different bits of language, we cannot gauge beforehand what you're going to learn. No idea. But you will learn different things, but they will come out in different ways. So whatever happens, go with it.
I'm going to flip.
Yeah? Yeah.
Alex is going to be the first to flip. Oh, wrong one.
That's good.
We're trying to flip the board now.
Michelle Thomas, he says the same thing. No homework.
Yeah.
Just relax and let it go.
Going wrong already, isn't it?
By the way,
And
So
relax.
inspirational.
we will not correct you this week. We won't correct you, right? If you say something and it's horrendously grammatically incorrect, we won't correct you. If you ask us to correct you, we will.
Yeah.
But if it impinges on communication, we'll point it out. Because, sometimes people do make a mistake. Like, for instance, one of the worst mistakes learners usually do is somebody's gone on a diet and say, dwi di bod ar diet, dwi di colli un garreg, which translates as I've been on a diet and lost a testicle. So we would correct them on that, you see, because that is a slightly different meaning to that, yeah. But grammar-wise, don't worry about mistakes, yeah.
What's Welsh for testicle again?
Oh,
Cymraeg.
honestly, I knew 2 minutes in and you're going, what's Welsh for testicle?
In common parlance,
Not to be confused with cariad.
That's the word for stone, carreg.
Cariad.
Like in carricenen.
Ah, Carrigan.
Yeah.
I've got a
Right.
friend who lives in Cymraeg.
Oh, nice.
So she's in Testicleica then, is she?
Carreg means stone.
Stone.
But it's got, yeah.
Did he colli rheolaeth yn barod? I got a tutor ma'r bai.
Well, there we are. I think we found the word of the week now.
Things can only get better, surely. Right, felly, beth ydy dadawgrymeg? What is Dysgustopedia? Okay, so as Ioan briefly mentioned, it was created by a guy called Dr. Georgi Lozanov in around the 60s, yn doedd? So he was a Bulgarian psychotherapist, clinical psychologist, who had done a lot of work on studying kind of brain activity. And what is so exciting about what really kind of excited me when I started reading about Dysgustopedia was it's every single thing that happens in a Dysgustopedic classroom is based on science. Everything we do with you is not because we're bonkers. It's not because that's fun. You might want to make us look silly. It's tried and tested and it works. It's part of the process. So you don't kind of do things because you get a hunch, like, oh, I'll try an activity like this. It's all been very finely tuned, tried and tested. There's an element of drama in it. We use a play. There's a lot of music involved, and they've done lots of studies on brain activity during the use of different kinds of music. And what's really exciting is we only use a tiny, tiny percentage of our brains, and especially when we're trying to learn something through our conscious kind of mind. Like Ioan was saying, if you're really trying hard to do something, oh, what's that guy's name? And you try, and then you'll be ironing a shirt later on in the day, and you'll go, oh yeah, John. Because you're not concentrating on, it's like when you do a word search, it's like, where's that word? And if you just kind of, oh, there it is. So it's that thing about not trying too hard, and it kind of goes completely the flip, the opposite way to most teachers go, like, you need to work really hard in this class. So actually, you don't. You just need to turn up promptly and engage and be ready to kind of go with the flow. And sometimes you'll go, oh, I feel like I'm in the fog, but it's okay because you kind of need to get through the fog before you have that flip moment. So, yeah, I guess trust us is what we're saying. And it's kind of like, it's like a learning contract. Really, all you need to do is be here, be ready to engage. We promise, we've done the reading, the research, we know that this works. If you just kind of, trust in us, let us do our thing. And the biggest thing is that we believe you'll learn. You absolutely will learn. Because I think a lot of people like to go, oh, Welsh is very difficult. I can speak Welsh fluently. It's very hard. And actually, it's not. At all, at all. And for you to kind of just go, do you know what? I'm just going to bite the bullet and just have a go. And it's fine. And it's based on, there are lots of differences between a traditional classroom setting and a Dysgustopedia classroom. And one, as Ioan was saying, was the amount of language that we will throw at you. But you need that, because it's like, imagine having a food fight with just one little pot of yoghurt, okay? If I'm a bad shot and I throw that pot, I'm only going to hit one of you, maybe, unless you duck. Whereas if you have like a proper food fight where you throw trays and trays of food at you, chances are I'm going to hit lots of you with different kinds of things. So it's that kind of pebble dash effect. So we'll be throwing loads of language at you, and you might be going like, what is she on about? But you'll be surprised as to what sticks, and that's exactly what Ioan was saying. Different things will stick for different people, and that's where you come into it. You support and help each other. So, and we saw it happen last year. It happens quite, you know, organically. It's like, oh, actually, I understand this. I'll help you. And then, oh, actually, oh, I didn't know that. So you kind of, then we can kind of like step back a little bit, have a paned a day, and let you kind of get on with it. So, and more than anything, it's just going to be fun. Hwyl ysbryd. Right, we are going to stop actually moedering yn Saesneg and do a little bit of Welsh warm-ups in a minute, but I'm just going to pass over to Ioan to carry on, dipyn bach.
All right, okay, I'll just put these back up, if I can. Rwan te, this is the visual representation, basically, of the main difference in attack, in a way, between traditional language teaching and what we will be doing this week. With traditional language teaching, language is broken down into little bits of language. So you might have one structure, maybe 20 words in a lesson. And then the next lesson you have another structure, maybe another 20 words, and another one, which all could be one lesson you learn to apologise. Next lesson you learn to describe people. Next lesson you'll maybe talk about what you did in the past. But you don't usually apologise on the Monday, talk in the past on the Tuesday, describe people on the Wednesday. You throw it all in. So language isn't actually nice and tidy. It's messy. Mess is a big word this week because we will be creating a lot of mess. And towards the end of the week, so we're creating a lot of wobbly jelly at the beginning of the week. At the end of the week, we nail the jelly down. Okay? So traditional language teaching is based on giving you small bits of language which you accumulate like bricks. And eventually, you get a nice wall, okay? Nice theory. But what Suggestopedia does, it doesn't do that. It doesn't give you... So when I ask tutors, good language teachers, I ask them, how many words do you give people in the first lesson? They'll say, about 20. I say, okay. So how many do you give? I say, 1,000. So you're going to be having 1,000 words in that first lesson tomorrow morning. And practically all the grammar of the language in that first lesson. But it's done in such a way. Painting a door, you don't start painting a door by, doing a small corner of the door and then put in primer and then undercoat and then top coat. No, what do? You do the whole door. You do the whole thing. So you prepare all the wood, the whole door. Then you put the primer on, the whole door. Then you put the first coat on, the whole door. Second coat, whole door. Second coat again if you want to. So it's this layering thing of going over and over and over again. So tomorrow morning, what's going to happen is that there are three things that are going to happen in the morning. The morning is the big in-breath of language. Now, when you're breathing, best way to breathe is to go, take in a big, deep breath, and when you're ready, you breathe out. You can't breathe out unless you've actually breathed in first. And also, it's not... If you think about breathing, traditional language teaching is like panting. Little bit in, little bit out. Which is not a very good way of breathing, unless you're going to give birth, obviously. But for normal breathing, you take a big in-breath and you breathe out when you're ready. So the emphasis on this course is going to be taking in a lot of language, understanding it, not necessarily getting it out initially, but eventually it does come out, and it does come out of its own. You have very little control out on what comes out of your mouth, actually. I'll explain a bit about that in a minute. So that's what's going to happen tomorrow morning. First thing in the morning is Nia and I will be coming in character. And we will be playing the part of a famous Patagonian film director. Obviously, they speak Welsh and Spanish, yeah, Patagonia. And we'll be presenting you with the script of a new TV programme for Espadrec called The Adventures of love4language. Bit of a sci-fi story, okay? So you'll be... So it's like Hamlet. There's a play within a play. Just hope not everybody's dead at the end. But you've got the. It starts off. So the film director introduces you, welcomes you. You're all actors who are taking part in this play. So you all take on the part of these actors, and then the script you're getting in the second half is the actual script of the first programme in the new series. And the first programme is called love4language and the Dangerous Spam. I'm sure you can't wait. Okay, now then, after that, that's going to last from 7:30 until about 9 o'clock. But it's about an hour and a half of presentation. And you're going to be sat there, and we are going to be going blah, 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 in Welsh. But all we want you to do is have a gist of what's going on, that you think, oh, I can roughly follow. We'll be using props and so on. We'll be using all kinds of extra-lingual, as they call them, cues, so that you can actually follow what goes on. But somebody asks you, do you learn any words there? You say, no. But you will. It's like watching a soap opera, Spanish soap opera or Italian soap opera, if you don't speak them, on TV. You can get the gist of what's going on because of all the, you know, if somebody's happy or not. So that's the first bit. The second bit, then, is when we actually give you this text, and you get the story, 20 pages long, and you get the English translation next to it, line by line. It's broken down, and then we give you 2 concerts. This is where we do the placebo domingo bit, where we actually read out the story to the background of, first of all, Mozart and Beethoven. So it's very dramatic and it's over the top, yeah? And then quick commercial break after that, and then we get another reading of the whole story again. So once again, this layered approach, but to Baroque music, Vivaldi, Four Seasons, which is more relaxed reading. And you close your book, and you just listen to it and let it flow over you. And that's it. And then you go on the choricles. Right? So usually what happens on courses like this is people go home. That's it. End of day. They've taken a huge input of breath, and we don't start exhaling, linguistically speaking, until the next day. We will be doing it later on in the afternoon. But the main thing is, you don't do any homework, but if you can just read the story all the way through as if you're reading a novel each night before going to sleep, because your brain remembers what is the most important thing. And if you read something before going to sleep, you'll tend to remember it. Now, I told you that you would have very little control over your mouths this week, okay? Because things will be popping out. And you will not know. Things will pop out and you think, where did that come from? What does that mean? Well, I know what that means. Where did it come from? Metaphor for you. Ants in my head. I'll give you something in a minute. I did research a couple of years ago. I was lucky enough to be paid, all expenses paid, to go to Gran Canaria to talk at a language conference. And it paid me to do research and present this paper on complexity theory and language acquisition. And complexity theory and suggestopedia, gripping title. But basically what it's about is complexity theory is how come we get complex activity in the world out of simple elements. Especially, you take something like ants. You've got an ant here, an ant here, an ant here, an ant here, an ant here. In your garden, 5 ants, they're not doing much. There's only 5 of them. But if you had 5,000 ants in your garden, what would happen would be suddenly they would start to self-organize and create a complex colony, and ants do the thinking on the colony level. Each individual ant is stupid, but a colony of ants is intelligent. A colony of termites is intelligent. A colony of bees is intelligent, but individual ones aren't. It's like the brain. Each individual neuron is stupid. A neuron by itself can do nothing, but a colony of neurons in your brain gives you intelligence. So what will happen is with this method, because we give you so much input, you've got all these you've got, all these little ants, linguistic ants, going around in your forehead. I apologise now if we keep you awake, because you may be lying there at night thinking, oh God, another Welsh word, and another Welsh word, and they'll be crawling through your consciousness, and you'll have no control over it. But what happens is, there is a threshold. You may have heard the term the tipping point. There is a threshold when complexity happens. It's when you have reached a critical mass of knowledge. And what happens then is this. It's called a sigmoidal curve, or an S-curve. Now, when you're learning something, if you're learning language by a traditional method, bit by bit by bit by bit by bit by bit by bit, nothing much happens. Most people leave language classes about there. Whether it's French, Spanish, Welsh, whatever, most people do not carry on because they don't get to the tipping point in time. Whereas with this method, you load up front. You've got this huge amount of language up front. So basically, people go from there to there in a short period of time, and all of a sudden, they flip. This is what happened to me in Brittany. I went on this Breton course, huge amount of Breton. I flipped. So if we have one strategy this week, it is this, to try and get you as close as possible to that flipping point, okay? Basically, I tell my learners, if learners don't flip, they won't flip and learn. And you've got to get them to that point where and it happens. And this is when complexity happens, and whoosh, people, in evolutionary terms, they talk about punctuated equilibrium. It's like you can have animals will not change for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And all of a sudden, something happens to the climate and animals will change into new animals very quickly. And then they'll settle down again. So it's the same thing with language learning. Whoosh, there's a big change. But the final step of perfection can take a long time. And and this S-curve, this sigmoidal curve happens in all kinds. It happens in, well, think of water freezing. Water doesn't become a little bit like ice, then a little bit more like ice, then a little bit more like ice. It's either water or it's ice, and there's hardly any difference in the middle. It's all whoosh, like that. So I've got a paper there, which I will give you. If you have sleepless nights, then I can guarantee you read my paper on complexity theory and suggestopedia, and you'll fall asleep. So there, we'll give that to you now, okay? Now, okay. One of the main things with suggestopedia, it is a multifaceted. We don't need that. We've done that, so we can chuck those. There we are. But the thing about suggestopedia, or in its newest version, Dysgu, it's built on the premise that everybody goes into every situation carrying baggage of some kind. It can be positive or negative baggage. So many people in Britain actually believe in their bones that you have to be a genius to speak other languages. They have this, so before they go into a language learning situation, they think, oh, I can't do this. I'm going to give it a try, but I can't do it. People on the continent don't have that baggage. They just go into learning another language? Yeah. So what? Yeah. So what suggestopedia does, I told you about the play, and there's a fantasy within a fantasy. Well, there's actually a fantasy within a fantasy within a fantasy. Because the first thing we'll do it this afternoon is on suggestopedia courses, everybody takes on a new name and identity. Now, when I'm teaching in North Wales, I never actually initially learn my students' names, because names can be baggage. So they all take on ridiculous Welsh names, absolutely ridiculously Welsh names, and they hide behind them. And they actually feel, when they're speaking Welsh, that this is who they are. They actually incorporate these into their personalities. And they, even outside the classroom, they use those names themselves. Obviously, because you are well known, we've got TV cameras here, we've had a compromise. So what we decided to do is, when you step into the classroom, the minute you put your foot down into the classroom, it's that Clark Kent Superman feeling, right? So you're outside the classroom, you're Clark Kent. You step into the classroom, you become Superman, Cymraeg, okay? So these names, so what we'll do is, we've got these names, so please use the names in the classroom. If you want to use them outside, feel free to do so. But these are the names here. So really nice sounding names, okay? Let me get these for you. Oh, first of all, I don't want you to be disappointed, so I'll give you my paper on Dysgustopedia and complexity. Right, so yeah. So there we are. Let's...
Fantastic.
Yeah. There we are, right. Croeso.
So again, what's the thinking behind not using
Anything.
our names?
Well, it's a subtle suggestion. It's this. If you have a ridiculously Welsh name like Brychan ap Llawarch o Fimbych, or Esyllt Llwyd from Allt Melyd, it works in two ways. One, if you've got a ridiculously Welsh name like that, how can you be anything not but a Welsh speaker? Nobody who didn't speak Welsh would call their children Brychan ap Llawarch, would they? You know. So the suggestion is you have already arrived before you started. It's a bit of a joke, but on a subconscious level, it's like people who are running in the Olympics imagine themselves having crossed the finish line first. So this is your Olympics. So with a Welsh name, you've already crossed the Welsh-speaking line before you started. That was a bit of a joke, but jokes actually are very powerful. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is this. We condition ourselves as teachers. If we call you Dwynwen Clwyd or Banter Mwyn, then obviously we are treating you as if you are already Welsh speakers. So, because Suggestopedia is communication on multi-levels, some of it is conscious, but most of it is subconscious, that subconsciously, I'm treating you as if you are already Welsh speakers, and you're picking up on that subconscious thing. So there are the two reasons for doing it, yeah? But that element in and of itself would not be sufficient. It has to be, it's like having a chicken curry without chicken. It's not chicken curry, is it? So with Suggestopedia, you need all the elements in it, okay? So this business of the name is an essential element, but obviously because we're doing a TV program, we've had to compromise a little bit. Can I, os gwelwch yn dda, ask you to pass this list of wonderful names around everybody, and
what happens is sometimes, you know, you come in with that baggage. You may be Alex Winters, who had a terrible, terrible experience on your last Welsh course. And actually, you can leave that Alex Winters behind and become somebody else and become, I don't know.
I have a tutor in my centre who learns Welsh through this method, and her name is Esyllt Llwyd from Allt Melyd. And her proper name is something else, but she never uses that. So we always call her Esyllt. And actually, one of your biggest fans, she said, you've got to mention my name. So Esyllt, dyma Gareth. Okay, right, so she owes me one there, right? So now turn, right? So now turn.
I just like him and not the rest of us.
Yeah.
Lloyd.
We're going to get you, Esyllt Lloyd. We're coming to get you.
Right, iawn, so dyma'r bobl, fel ydych chi'n gweld, very traditional, mewn pink fan hyn, dyma'r merched. These are the ladies. There's more of a choice of ladies here actually than men.
I'll go with Beth. I can like
Good try, didn't you?
Right, so dyma, okay, you will notice something about these names. You will notice something about them. So if I can have one of the green sheets of sgwelwch yn dda. Diolch yn fawr iawn. So we start at the top here. Lowry Bowen. And Lowry Bowen comes from Dowlais. It's got a nice ho, Sean Corden kind of feel to it. Lowry. So let's trip these all our mouths. Lowry Bowen.
Lowry Bowen.
Or Dowlais. So it's Dowlais, and it's obviously, as you know, is mutation. So o Dowlais, so Lowry Bowen o Dowlais. That's so. Where's Lowry Bowen? Lle mae Lowry? Dyma ni. Lowry Bowen yn fan hyn. Just in case you have difficulty seeing, maybe I should make it more visible. Okay, so Lowry Bowen fan hyn. Dyma Lowry Bowen. Dyma Lowry Bowen. Okay. Lle mae Dwynwen Clwyd. Now the lips. You've got to do the lips thing. Dwynwen Clwyd. Dwynwen Clwyd. Lle mae Dwynwen Clwyd? Lle mae Dwynwen? Wel i si. Lle mae Dwynwen? Lle mae dwyn, dwyn wen clwyd o bant y mwyn. You notice how I'm using my mouth? Bant y mwyn. Did you know, speaking Welsh actually keeps you looking young. I'm actually 96, but speaking Welsh keeps me looking young, you see. So, dwyn wen clwyd o bant y mwyn. Okay, beth am... Yn Gymraeg, a double F is a F sound, so you've got Ffion, Griffith, o Dre Ffynon. It's a fun place, Tre Ffynon. Ffion. Here we are. Ffion, Griffith, o Dre Ffynon. Okay? Tre Ffynon is Holywell. Tre Ffynon. Hawys, Ioan, Hawys, Ioan, o Dre Lawnyd. Hawys, Ioan, o Dre Lawnyd, okay? And then we've got Esyllt llwyd o allt melyd, yeah. Esyllt llwyd, yeah. Friend Gareth, okay, right, okay. Then we've got somebody, we've got somebody from Patagonia here. We've got somebody from Patagonia. We've got Myfanwy. So see, a single F in Welsh is a V sound. Myfanwy Evans de Chones or Drefelyn. Trefelyn is up in the Andes. Right? It's a Welsh-speaking place in the Andes. Myfanwy Evans de Chones or Drefelyn. Back to Cardiff. We've got Byddug hedd. So a double D in Welsh is a th sound. It's like a this and that. Byddug hedd o Gaerdydd. Okay. O Gaerdydd. Then we've got Mirain Owen. Can you find Mirain Owen? Lle mae Mirain? Oh, Mirain Owen. Mirain Owen comes... Llaneirgain by Moles. O Llaneirgain. Watch my finger now, right? When you say Llaneirgain, your jaw has to jut out. Llaneirgain. So put your finger in front of your jaw, because otherwise you're not doing the proper diphthongs, you see. Llaneirgain. Llaneirgain. And it goes like that. Llaneirgain. Make your whole body go. Llaneirgain. And if you actually move your hands up, it's even better. Llaneirgain. You know what that's all? Llaneirgain. Welsh people do that all the time, yeah. Yeah, they do, yeah. We always twitch, actually. We subtly twitch in Cymraeg, which is why, because you've got the rhythm. And you cannot not speak Welsh. You cannot speak Welsh with a stiff upper lip without moving your body. You can't do it. You've got to move your body. It's a body usage language. Okay, we've got Bethan Cuthbertson. Notice with Bethan, or Bethel. Now, Bethan Cuthbertson, you see a TH in Welsh is the th you have in think, whereas the double D is the you have in this. So they're not the same sound. Okay? Shh, shh, shh. That wasn't telling you to be quiet. I was just looking for Sioned Wynne Shenkin. Sioned Wynne Shenkin. Dyma ni. Sioned. Llansan Shore is a small place called St George outside of Abergele in North Wales. But an SI followed by a vowel is a sh. So you have a SIOP is pronounced? Shop. SIOCLED is pronounced? Chocolate. Exactly. Right. So, Arian Taylor. Arian Taylor. Have we got Arian? Has she blown over? Oh, Arian. This is another jaw job. Arian. Mancanion. Manchester. Mancanion. Right, yeah, the Mancanion. Da iawn. Orfancanion. Okay. Yeah. And then we've got Mair, ay, caramba, ay. Mair Esgair Roberts. Mair Esgair Roberts. And she comes from o Lanfair Fechan. Oh, sorry, not Lanfair Caerenion. Or Lanfair Caerenion. Okay. And then finally, so finally, then finally we've got Mererid Rowlands. Mererid Rowlands comes from Ros Llanech Rigog, or Ros Llanech Rigog by Wrexham. Ac nawr, we've got the gentlemen's names here, fan hyn, felly Dynion. So we've got the Dynion on the other side of the page here. We've got Brychan ap Llawarch. There we are. So could well be Brychan on the phone line, right? So Brychan ap Llawarch.
Llawer.
And he comes from o ddimbych.
O ddinbych.
Da iawn, okay. Then we have Llion. So where is Brychan? There is Brychan ap Llawarch o ddimbych. Then we've got Llion ap Miall. Llion ap Miall. Lle mae Llion ap Miall? O Landrillo. Llion ap Miall yn fanna. O Landrillo. O Landrillo. Llion ap Miall o Landrillo. We've got Gethin Arthur. So the TH once again is a th sound. Gethin Arthur. O Borthmadog. O Borthmadog. Right. And as you notice with the women, that the double D is a th sound. Van hyn, hef ap Dafydd. Hef ap Dafydd. And he comes from Mynydd Isa. Mynydd Isa. O Fynydd Isa. So you've got hef ap Dafydd o Fynydd Isa. And you've got to have one Patagonian, obviously. Dewi Llywelyn. So this is the ew sound. Can you say an ew? Dewi Llywelyn Rodriguez. Odrelew. The accent on Trelew is actually short for Tre Lewis, named after Lewis Jones, who set the town up in Patagonia. So he's called Trelew. Trelew. The accent on it. So Dewi Llywelyn Rodriguez o Drelew. And finally, we have Irfon Ifans. And Irfon Ifans comes from O Lanfair Fechan. Right, okay. This is like stars in the rise. You know, this week, I want to be. Who are you going to be? So choose who you're going to be, and choose carefully. Because the minute you step into this classroom, this is where you go from your Clark Kent to your Superman alter ego. So choose your alter egos. Run! Now! Okay, yeah.
What, physically go?
Physically go and pick up.
Okay. If you're a woman, have you got to choose a woman?
You don't have to.
Say for the men, can we be women?
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So very yeah, well, it's a liberating experience, so you can choose whatever you want.
Reit te,
I love you.
croeso i'r dosbarth.
Diolch.
Gai ofyn i chi gamu allan, what we're going to do now is step outside, a pan dych chi yn camu yn ôl I mewn i'r dosbarth, hwyl fawr Lisa Rogers, hwyl fawr Lucie, hwyl fawr Wynne, hello Dewi Llywelyn Rodriguez, o Drelew, and your best superhero action, okay? You want to be a pirate, you want to be a Morlader. Morlader. Literally, a thief of the sea. It's good, isn't it? When I did my first training in Suggestopedia, I was Francesca, and I was a poeta who used to spend my days writing poetry and eating grapes and surrounded by handsome men. It's amazing. You can go anywhere you want to be.
Like forest.
Yn union. Reit te, felly camwch allan, step outside os gwelwch yn dda, a da ni'n mynd I roi croeso i'n cymeriadau diddorol. Croeso! Helo! Sut wyt ti? Haia, ni ydw I. Helo, pwy wyt ti?
Irfon Ifans.
Irfon Ifans. Croeso, Irfon. Neis dy
Diolch yn fawr,
gyfarfod
diolch yn fawr iawn.
Eistedda gnad I hyn yn gyfforddus.
Croeso Irfon.
Diolch yn fawr iawn.
Reit te, pwy sy'n nesa? Mae'n fel bod yn lle doctor, ynddi? And next! Dun, dun, dun! Dewi Llywelyn
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez. O Drelew. Sut wyt ti?
Sut wyt ti?
Iawn?
Iawn.
Da iawn.
I love a Welsh lady.
Croeso, cariad. Eistedda. Take a pew.
Take a pew. Sut wyt ti? What's that then? I don't know any Welsh at all.
Nesa! Pwy sy'n nesa i'n dosbarth ni? Croeso!
Sut wyt ti? I don't know.
Dwi'n Bydding Head
Helo! Byddig Hed, tir
o
dyna!
Caerdydd.
Tir dyma.
Diolch yn fawr.
Sut wyt ti? Ni a dwi.
Iawn, ni a.
Bydd hedd o Gaerdydd. Mae Caerdydd yn hyfryd.
Diolch yn fawr.
Croeso i'r dosbarth. Eistedda.
Croeso. Shwmai.
Iawn te. Nesa, sgwelwch yma.
Prynhawn da, mae Fanwy Evans di chones o Trefelyn ydw i.
Mae Fanwy Evans. Dyr dyma. Sut wyt ti? Croeso.
Diolch yn fawr. Yes, iawn.
Da iawn. Wel, dyna neis. O ble? O Dreffelyn ym Patagonia.
O Trefelyn yn Patagonia.
Hyfryd. Croeso.
Beautiful.
Eistedda.
Diolch yn fawr.
Iawn, cariad.
Diolch yn fawr.
Is it two?
Classic head.
Reita, pwy sy'n nesa?
Mae Fanwy ydw i.
Helo.
Helo.
Croeso.
Hey, that's Dafydd.
Hei, Henaf Dafydd, sut wyt ti? Iawn? O le wyt ti'n dod, Henaf
O,
Dafydd?
Fynydd Isa.
O fynydd Isa, wel.
Get you.
Croeso i'r dosbarth.
Diolch.
Iawn te, pwy sy'n nesa i'r dosbarth? Pwy sy'n nesa? Croeso. Yay! Ty dyma. Sut wyt ti? O, sus. O, helo. Sus. Wel, te dyma fan hyn. Reit, Gethin Arthur. O.
Gethin Arthur a dwenw i.
Ie. A ni ydw i. O, ffordd man. Croeso, Gethin Arthur. Croeso. Eistedda.
Why do you laugh at? Where's your right?
You're brilliant.
Good answer. Wel, mae un ar ôl. Pwy sy ar ôl? Gawn ni weld. Pwy sy'n nesa? Croeso!
Dau Botcher hwyl.
Ie.
A nawr,
O!
Lowry Bowen. Boring old Lowry.
So mae dau Botcher yn gyffroes iawn. O, mae Lowry Bowen yn
Yeah,
boring.
exactly.
She knows. Croeso, Lowry.
Okay, diolch.
Eistedd yma yn your boring little corner. Wel, croeso i chi gyd. Iawn te, felly, da ni'n mynd i ganu a da ni'n mynd i ddweud croeso. Can you all say croeso? Croeso. Welcome, croeso. I Forest. Ynghylgeran. Da iawn, right? So close your throats and give me some ynghylgeran. Everybody lean forward. Ynghylgeran. Da iawn. So, dyn ni ynghylgeran. We're in Cilgeran, a place called Cilgeran, yeah? Am gyffroes. What do you think cyffroes means? Excited. How exciting. Am gyffroes. Da iawn, pawb fel hyn. Am gyffroes. Da iawn. Gyffroes. Gawn ni hwyl. Yn dysgu Cymraeg. We'll have fun yn dysgu Cymraeg, learning Welsh. So, croeso, beth dyn ni eisiau wneud ydy, byddwn ni'n cael pob unigolyn, every individual. So, i ddechrau, beth un person i ddod i'r canol, one person to volunteer to come and sefyll ar y mat coch. Hedd. Come on. Reit, hedd i sefyll yma. Da iawn, hedd, hyfryd, reit. Gwyneba dy ffrindiau,
Okay.
friends, ardderchog. So they all sing and you don't. Ti'n iawn?
Iawn.
Dwi'n gweld? Dyna beth ydych chi'n gael. Reit te, felly, ar eich traed, dwi'n meddwl, ar eich traed. Da iawn, reit. Gwrandewch, iawn, gwrandewch. Just gwrandewch. Da ni'n canu fel hyn, iawn. O, da ni eisiau gwneud ×2, reit? Felly. Croeso hef i Forest ynghylgeran. Am gyffroes, gawn ni hwyl yn dysgu Cymraeg. Iawn?
Iawn.
Yeah! Basically, any tune, as long as you just say the Cymraeg, iawn? Felly, da ni'n mynd i roi good, warm welcome. Croeso cynnes I hedd, iawn? So, croeso fel hyn. Reit. Barod? 1, 2, 3. Croeso hedd I fforest anghylgeran. Am gyffroes, gawn ni hwyl yn dysgu Cymraeg. Da iawn, diolch hedd. Nesa, pwy sy'n dod rwan? Hold your name tag thing, what do you call it? Papur. Un person? Rhywun arall i'r ffrant? Anybody? Da iawn, Gethin. Croeso, Gethin.
Feels weird being called Gethin.
Right, dych chi barod croeso. Nice warm welcome. Croeso cynnes I Gethin. Croeso. Right, 1, 2, 3. Croeso Gethin I fforest anghylgeran. Am gyffroes, gawn ni hwyl yn dysgu Cymraeg. Da iawn, diolch Gethin. Reit, nesa, buddig. 1, 2, 3. Croeso buddig I fforest anghylgeran. Am gyffroes, gawn ni hwyl yn dysgu Cymraeg. Da iawn, diolch buddig. Reit, nesa. Dewi. 1, 2, 3. Croeso Dewi I fforest anghylgeran. Am gyffroes, gawn ni hwyl yn dysgu Cymraeg. Da iawn, Dewi, diolch. Nesa, mae Fanwy. Fanwy. 1, 2, 3. Croeso my Fanwy I fforest anghylgeran. Am gyffroes, gawn ni hwyl yn dysgu Cymraeg. Da iawn, my Fanwy. Nesa? Nesa, Irfon. Right, 1, 2, 3. Croeso Irfon I fforest anghylgeran. Am gyffroes, gawn ni hwyl yn dysgu Cymraeg. Da iawn, right. Sad that happened. Hello. Flasio helpu Lowry, does, bless her. Right, 1, 2, 3. Dwi'n gwybod mae Lowry yn licio canu tawel. Lullaby. Mae'n edrych ar eisiau gwrdd y gwrdd lullaby. Oce, te. 1, 2, 3. Croeso lawri I fforest anghylgeran. Am gyffroes, gawn ni hwyl yn dysgu Cymraeg.
I don't think so.
Hapus? No. Ardderchog. Wel, croeso pawb ag eisteddwch. Diolch yn fawr iawn. Reit. Ioan, ti eisiau dod I?
Okay. Right, now then. 1, 2. Mae dialog fan hyn, so nawr dyn ni'n gwybod pwy ydi pwy. Dyn ni'n mynd tu allan y dialog yma, felly mae dialog something very simple dialog. Hello, shwmai. Hello, shwmai. There we are. You put your name in, followed by Dwi, sounds like gooey, Dwi. Dwi'n sounds like God Save the Queen. Dwi'n dod o, you say where you come from. So, for instance, if you were to say, hello, shwmai, Byddeg hedd, dwi. Dwi'n dod o Gaerdydd. And the other person will say, ooh, neis iawn. Can you give me an ooh? 1, 2, 3. Ooh, neis iawn. Oh, neis iawn. And then you say your name. You say, oh, but for instance, you might say, oh, Dewi. Dewi Llywelyn Rodriguez. Dwi'n dod o. And then you say, Drelaw. You can crib if you want, okay? Dwi'n dod o Drelaw. And you say, oh, hyfryd iawn. Hyf rhymes with love, and rid ryd. So hyfryd, pawb. Hyfryd, pawb. Hyfryd iawn. Hyfryd iawn means lovely. Oh, hyfryd iawn. So hwyl fawr. Hwyl fawr. Hwyl fawr actually means big sail. Because hwyl, big sail.
Big sail.
Sail on a ship. So a hwyl is a ship. Hwylio is to sail. It's because people in Wales lived around the coast. So when they went away, they would say, big sail. Because that's what they used to go away. So hwyl was all top. Let's do it together. So let's do 1, 2, 3, pedwar and 1, 2, 3. So chich pedwar. No, 1, 2, 3, pedwar. Let's even it up. 1, 2, 3, pedwar. We can have 1, 2, 3, pedwar van hen. So we'll start from the top. You first pedwar van hen can be A, and then you pedwar van hen can be B. So all top, 1, 2, 3.
Hello, Shemai. Hello, Shemai.
And then you can say, it's like Dwyn, Okay, and then you can say,
Nice, iawn.
And it's Angela, you say in A. It's the hey, like hey, nice.
Nice,
Nice, yeah. And then you put
Dwi'n dod fan nefisa.
You say hyfryd iawn. And you can't actually say hyfryd without throwing your head back and going, hyfryd iawn. Throw your head back. Hyfryd iawn. Unwaith eto. Hyfryd iawn. And then you say, hwyl fawr. Hwyl fawr. Right, do we have takers? It's not a boxing match, it's a meeting match. Okay, so now then, so put it on your right hand. Llaw there, put it on your right hand. And what we will do is... Oh, God, it's hot. Now then. Okay, so os newch chi allan fan hyn, if you come out into the ring, not the boxing ring, but he was right, felly fan hyn, right? So now then, what we'll do is, when you meet, you can say, right, hello Shemai. So you might want to stand here so you can see the dialogue, okay? And then you do it first, and then what we'll do musical chairs, and you go around and do it, okay, felly? But let's see how it's done by the real pros, okay? Right, barod? Or top, who wants to be A, who wants to be B?
Ar, Ithi.
A, you're B. B. Da iawn. Da iawn. Okay, so A, B. B. Right, ar ôl 3. 1, 2, 3.
Helo, Shemai.
Helo, Shemai.
Byddeg hez, dwi. Diw yn dod o'r Caerdydd.
Ooh, nice iawn.
Odi.
Mae fanwy dwi.
Oi.
Dwi'n dod o Trefelyn.
Hyfryd iawn.
Hwyl fawr.
Hwyl fawr.
Oh, right. Da iawn, ar ddechrau. Okay, now then, if we can have the chairs all in a circle, space them out in groups of 2. Symud nhw gwmpas fyny yn sgwelch yn dda. Na, it's cael nhw gwmpas, achos maen nhw'n cedyd y gwmpas, so beth ni'n neud ydi 2, 1, 2, so fydd na, achos gallu di eistedd I mewn yn hon, o'ch chi'n neud, right, okay? So, we'll have another pair of chairs here, fan hyn.
So, 2 gadair, 2, yeah.
Right, so 2 fan hyn, because we're going to be playing musical chairs. So, if we're going to be 1, 2, voilà, so we can space those out. So if you can move those 2 chairs a bit spaced out. Iawn, so... Right, okay, now then. Crib notes.
Owen.
Dyma ti. Croeso.
Fory.
Right, if you want to have a look at these, falle bydd di eisiau neud na, so dyma ti reit iawn. Okay, now then. Right, be dyn ni'n mynd I wneud? There we are, that's that dialogue there. You can either look at that, or you can look at the board, or just do it, because you know it. Felly, be dyn ni'n mynd I wneud ydy, we'll put the music on, you get up and you cerdded the gwmpas, once the music stops, find a chair, sit next to somebody and have this conversation with them. And then when the music starts again, you get up and move around, go to somebody new and have the same conversation again. It's like cheese and wine party without the cheese and wine.
We are
So,
playing nice and
right. Ia'n barod? Right, now, pawb lan te, cedwch y gwmpas.
Is that just bad connection? Or what's that?
Oh no, the music's so good. Has it stopped?
Right, iawn, okay, iawn.
Hello, Shmai.
Dwi'n dod o
Lucie.
Right, iawn, okay. Pawb y gwmpas. Partner newydd, cedwch y gwmpas.
Oh, scheisse.
Iawn!
I'm in the same chair.
Shmai.
Oh, nice job. I think dwi'n dod yn Cymraeg.
Right, lan yn ni!
That's in the same chair.
Iawn, na ni, right?
Helo, siwmai. Gareth Dwi'n dod o...
Nice job.
It's too similar.
No one actually said to translate, did they?
Helo, siwmai.
Dwi'n dod o fyny isa.
Evan Evans.
Right, un o'r last one, last one.
I said Gareth again.
Right, un o'r...
Oh, I'm a Shmai.
Right, iawn, okay, dyna ni, diolch yn fawr iawn. So, that's it, folks, am prynhawn yma.